Close your eyes. Hear the distant roar of ocean waves. Smell the salt air mixed with sawdust and electricity. Feel the crowd's nervous energy. You are no longer in your time. You have stepped back to a cold January day in 1903 to Coney Island, New York, where the world's most famous inventor is about to do something unthinkable. Tonight, we witness the darkest chapter in Thomas Edison's brilliant career. A chapter about rivalry, desperation, and the terrible lengths one man would go to win a war. This is not a story of innovation or triumph. This is a story of Topsy, an elephant who became a casualty in the battle between two electrical systems and two men who refused to surrender. This is the story of the day Edison electrocuted an elephant to prove a point. Let the fairground materialize around you. Let the wooden boardwalk creak beneath your feet. And let this story carry you into uneasy dreams. Coney Island, New York, January 4th, 1903. The morning was bitterly cold. Frost covered the wooden structures of Luna Park, the famous amusement park that drew millions during summer months. But today, in the dead of winter, the park was closed, empty, silent, except for the crowd gathering at the elephant enclosure. Nearly 1,500 people had come despite the cold. Reporters with notebooks, photographers with their bulky cameras, curiosity seekers who had read the announcements in the newspapers. And at the center of it all, standing calmly in her pen, was Topsy. She was a large Asian elephant, 28 years old, weighing over 3 tons. Her skin was thick and wrinkled, her eyes dark and knowing. For most of her life, Topsy had been a circus performer. She had traveled across America, performing tricks, carrying children on her back, living the hard life of a show animal. But Topsy had a problem. She had killed 3 men. The first death was her trainer, who had tried to feed her a lit cigarette. The second was a spectator who had thrown sand in her face. The third was a drunk who had wandered into her pen. Whether these were accidents or deliberate acts, no one could say for certain. Elephants are intelligent creatures. They remember, they feel, and Topsy had been abused for years. The owners of Luna Park had acquired her recently, hoping she would be an attraction. But after the deaths, they decided she was too dangerous. The decision was made. Topsy must be killed. The question was how. Hanging was suggested, but the ASPCA, the American Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, protested. Hanging an elephant would be cruel and potentially unsuccessful. Poison was considered. Shooting. But these methods seemed brutal, imprecise. Then someone suggested electricity, and that's when Thomas Edison became involved. Edison, at 55 years old, was one of the most famous men in America, the Wizard of Menlo Park, the inventor of the phonograph, the motion picture camera, and, most famously, the practical incandescent light bulb. His face appeared in newspapers regularly. His name was synonymous with progress and innovation, but there was something the public didn't fully understand. Edison was fighting a war, an electrical war, and he was losing. The conflict was called the War of the Currents. On one side was Edison promoting direct current, DC electricity. On the other was his former employee, the brilliant Nikola Tesla, along with businessman George Westinghouse, promoting alternating current, AC electricity. The technical differences were complex, but the stakes were simple. Whichever system became America's standard would make its backers incredibly wealthy. And Edison had invested everything, his money, his reputation, his ego, in DC current. The problem was that AC was better. It could transmit power over long distances efficiently. DC could not. By 1903, Edison was clearly losing the war. Major cities were choosing AC systems. Westinghouse and Tesla were winning. Edison needed to turn public opinion. He needed to make people fear AC electricity. And he had been trying for years. He had staged public demonstrations where he electrocuted animals, dogs, cats, even a horse, using AC current. He wanted to prove that AC was deadly, dangerous, too risky for homes and businesses. He even promoted the electric chair as an execution method using AC, hoping the association with death would taint Tesla's system. It hadn't worked. The public remained unconvinced. A sea continued to spread. But now, Luna Park offered Edison a new opportunity, a very public opportunity. If he could electrocute an elephant using AC current, if he could show 1,500 witnesses and newspaper reporters the terrible power of alternating current, perhaps he could finally turn the tide. Edison's company, the Edison Manufacturing Company, agreed to film the execution. They brought their motion picture cameras. This would be documented, preserved, shown in Nickelodeons across America. And so, on that cold January morning, technicians from the Edison Company prepared Topsy for death. They fitted copper-lined sandals to her feet, connected to electrical cables. One foot would receive the current, the other would ground it. The circuit would run through her massive body, through her heart, stopping it instantly. That was the theory. The voltage was set at 6,600 volts, far more than necessary to kill a human. But Topsy was huge, and Edison's men wanted to be certain. They wanted it to be dramatic, undeniable. Topsy stood calmly as the technicians worked. Perhaps she didn't understand what was happening. Perhaps she did and had accepted it. Elephants are said to have remarkable emotional intelligence. Some believe they understand death. A handler led Topsy to the execution spot, a patch of ground where the electrical connections had been set up. The crowd pressed closer. Cameras were positioned. Edison himself was not present. He never attended these events personally, maintaining a careful distance. But his representatives were there, ensuring everything went according to plan. The executioner held the switch. Reporters readied their pencils. Photographers prepared their cameras to capture the moment. Topsy stood still, waiting. At 2:45 p.m., the switch was thrown. 6,600 volts of alternating current surged through Topsy's body. She stiffened immediately. Her trunk rose slightly. Smoke began to rise from her feet where the copper made contact. The smell of burning flesh filled the cold air. 10 seconds passed. Topsy's legs buckled. Her massive body swayed, then collapsed. She fell to the ground with a tremendous thud that shook the wooden boardwalk. Dust rose around her fallen form. She did not move again. The crowd was silent, shocked. Some people turned away. Others stared in horrified fascination. Children who had been brought to witness this scientific demonstration began to cry. The entire execution had taken just 10 seconds. 10 seconds to end a life that had lasted 28 years. The cameras kept rolling. Edison's cameraman captured every moment. They filmed Topsy's massive body lying motionless on the frozen ground. They filmed the crowd's reactions. They filmed the technicians disconnecting the cables. This footage would be processed, printed, and distributed to Nickelodeons across America under the title Electrocuting an Elephant. It would become one of the most viewed films of 1903. People would pay to see an elephant die by electricity over and over in darkened theaters. Edison had his spectacle. He had his proof. Alternating current could kill a 3-ton elephant in 10 seconds. Surely such power was too dangerous for American homes. But the public didn't react. as Edison hoped. Instead of fearing a sea current, many people were horrified by the execution itself. Newspapers ran critical articles. Animal welfare advocates condemned the cruelty. Some began to see Edison not as a hero of science, but as a man willing to kill innocent creatures to protect his business interests. And the war of the currents, it continued. AC electricity kept spreading. Within a few years, it became the undisputed standard. Edison's DC system was relegated to specialized applications. Tesla and Westinghouse had won. Topsy's death changed nothing, except that it stained Edison's legacy forever. In the years since, historians have debated Edison's exact role. Some argue he wasn't directly involved in Topsy's execution, that his company acted independently. Others point to his pattern of animal electrocutions and his desperate need for anti-AC propaganda. The truth likely lies somewhere between. What we know for certain is this. On January 4th, 1903, an elephant named Topsy was killed using technology that Thomas Edison championed. Whether he ordered it, approved it, or simply allowed it to happen, his name became forever linked to that moment. Topsy was buried in a corner of Coney Island. No marker, no memorial, just another casualty of progress, forgotten by most, remembered by few. But the film survived. You can still watch it today, over a century later. The grainy footage shows a majestic animal standing calmly, then collapsing, then lying still. 10 seconds that captured both the power of human innovation and the cost of human ambition. Edison lived another 28 years after Topsy's death. He continued inventing, continued contributing to science and industry, but he never spoke publicly about the elephant, never addressed the controversy, never expressed regret. Perhaps he believed it was necessary. Perhaps he felt he had no choice. He was fighting for his life's work, his legacy, his financial survival. Or perhaps, in his old age, he regretted it, but couldn't bring himself to admit such a terrible mistake. We'll never know. Edison took his thoughts about Topsy to his grave in 1931. But Topsy's story survived. It became a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition, about what happens when we value victory over compassion. about the price innocent creatures pay in human conflicts. And perhaps there's a lesson in it for all of us. In our pursuit of success, of being right, of winning our personal wars, what are we willing to sacrifice? Who or what becomes our Topsy? The colleague we betray, the relationship we neglect, the principles we abandon. Edison was a genius. He brought light to the world, literally. He changed human civilization with his inventions. But on one cold January day, his brilliance cast a very dark shadow. Tonight, as you drift towards sleep, think about Topsy. Not the execution, not the spectacle, but the elephant herself. Imagine her life before that day, the places she traveled, the tricks she performed, the abuse she endured, the 3 men she killed, perhaps in self-defense, perhaps in anger, perhaps by accident. Imagine her standing in that cold pen on her last morning, feeling the winter sun on her wrinkled skin. Did she know what was coming? Did she fear it? Or was there perhaps a kind of peace in ending a life that had brought her more pain than joy? We project human emotions onto animals, which may not be fair. But elephants are remarkable creatures. They mourn their dead. They show joy, fear, anger, and love. They remember. Somewhere in Topsy's elephant mind, in those final moments, what did she think? Perhaps nothing. Perhaps everything. Perhaps she simply stood, waiting, accepting what she could not change. And when the current hit, when the electricity coursed through her body, when her vast heart stopped beating, perhaps there was no pain. Perhaps it was instant. Perhaps it was, in a terrible way, merciful compared to hanging or shooting. Or perhaps it was agony. We'll never know that either. What we know is this: Topsy died so Edison could try to win a war. And even in death, she failed to give him victory. Sleep now. Let this story fade. Let the cold January morning dissolve. Let Topsy rest at last in whatever peace dead elephants find. And let us remember that every war, electrical, political, personal, has casualties. Often the innocent pay the highest price. Good night, Topsy. Your suffering is over. Your story remains. And perhaps, in being remembered, you achieved a kind of immortality that Edison never intended to give you. Rest well. The current has stopped. The pain is gone. And somewhere, in some version of peace, may you roam free.